A black woman is relaxing by her own pool until a white neighbor calls the cops on her, claiming she's a trespasser. Suddenly, two angry officers show up ready to drag her out, not knowing she's the new chief of police, and she owns the house. What happens next will leave your jaw on the floor. A black woman sat alone by a private pool sipping cold lemonade. Her skin glowed and peace filled the air around her. This was her home, her land, her quiet joy. Her name was Chief Jalisa Renair. What most people didn't know, especially not the nosy neighbor across the street, was that Jalisa wasn't just some rich woman. She was the newly appointed police chief of the entire county, the first black woman to ever wear that title in the town of Fairhope. But right now, Jalisa wasn't thinking about work. She wasn't chasing criminals or giving speeches or solving problems. She was just relaxing, just a woman enjoying her own pool, in her own backyard, in her own million-dollar home. That's when he showed up. A white man about 50 years old, bald head, loud voice, shorts too tight, eyes filled with trouble. He stood outside the gate staring at her like she didn't belong. His name was Vernon Greaves. Vernon lived across the street. People in the neighborhood called him the neighborhood eagle, because he watched everybody's business but never minded his own. He held his phone up and shouted over the fence, "Hey, who are you? What are you doing there?" Jalisa took off her sunglasses slowly. She didn't speak right away. "Can I help you?" she asked calmly. "Yeah, you can help me by telling me what you're doing trespassing at my friend's house." Jalisa raised an eyebrow. "This is my house." Vernon laughed, but not the funny kind of laugh. It was a mean laugh, a dirty, disbelieving laugh. "Don't lie to me," he barked. "This is Mark Bellamy's old place. He moved last year. I know everyone in this neighborhood, and I've never seen you before." Jalisa shook her head. She had only moved in 2 weeks ago. The house had been empty for 6 months before she bought it in cash. "I suggest you leave," she said, still polite. "You're making a mistake." "No, you made a mistake," Vernon growled. "I'm calling the police. You're going to regret this." He walked off angrily while dialing 911. Jalisa sighed. She could have stopped him, could have flashed her badge, could have ended the whole thing right there. But she didn't. She wanted to see where this was going. 10 minutes later, 2 police cruisers rolled into the driveway. 2 white officers stepped out. Officer Cole Durham and Officer Reed Madsen both were known in the town, known for their tempers, known for never being kind to people who looked like Jalisa. They didn't even knock on the front door. "They marched straight into the backyard, hands where I can see them," one of them yelled. Jalisa blinked slowly. She was still in her swimsuit, still lying on her chair. "Excuse me, we got a call about a trespasser." "Stand up, you're not supposed to be here. This is my house, don't argue," barked the other cop. "We don't want any trouble, just cooperate." They moved closer. "We're going to escort you off the property. You'll do no such thing," Jalisa said sharply, rising to her feet. That's when Officer Madsen reached for her arm, and Jalisa moved fast. She twisted out of his grip and stepped back. "Keep your hands off me!" Their eyes widened. They weren't used to someone not being afraid. "You just assaulted an officer," Durham said. "That's resisting, I'm warning you," Jalisa said. Pulling a black wallet from her beach bag, she opened it inside a golden badge. They both froze. Jalisa held it high in the air like a weapon, "Chief. Jalisa Rayner Fairhope Police Department badge, number 0417, silence." The air felt like it stopped moving. Madsen looked pale. Durham blinked hard like he was trying to wake up from a dream. You're the new chief," he stammered. "That's right," Jalisa said coldly. "And you two just stormed into my property. No warrant, no questions, no cause. You didn't even check records or ID, just ran in here because I'm black in a rich neighborhood they couldn't speak. Let me guess." Jalisa continued. "You didn't believe a black woman could own a house like this, just like Vernon didn't. You acted on a stereotype and now you're about to pay for it." Officer Durham finally tried to speak. We were just responding to a call. You responded with force without protocol. You grabbed me. You threatened me. You disrespected me. "In my own home," Jalisa pointed toward the fence, "and I have security cameras recording everything." Durham and Madsen turned and looked at the red blinking light near the roof. Their faces went white. Jaleesa picked up her phone. "You have 5 minutes," she said, "to call your supervisor and report what just happened, Chief. Please." Now the officers scrambled to their radios. Voices shook hands, trembled across the street. Vernon was still watching, smiling, until 3 black SUVs pulled up to his driveway. Code enforcement officers housing authority agents, a sheriff's deputy. One of them stepped forward with a thick file. "Vernon Greaves," the officer asked, "you've received multiple complaints for harassment, discrimination, and racial profiling over the last year. What that's crazy today was the final straw." Vernon looked confused. Then he saw Jaleesa walk across the street, fully dressed now, with her badge in hand. "You messed with the wrong woman," she told him. "But I didn't. You lied to police. You made a false report. You caused officers to violate a citizen's rights, a police chief's rights. You called me a trespasser on my own land." Vernon tried to speak, but nothing came out. "You're being evicted," the officer said. "Pack your things. You've got 30 days. Vernon dropped to the ground in shock. "Wait a second. Tell us where you're watching from in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories like this, across the street." Jaleesa stood strong, calm, proud, and powerful. The next morning, Fairhope woke up to a storm, not a storm of wind and rain, but of news headlines, angry voices, and shocking videos. The security footage from Chief Jaleesa Renair's home had gone viral. The video showed 2 white officers storming into her backyard without cause. It showed one of them trying to grab her arm. It showed her badge. It showed their fear when they realized the woman they were manhandling was their boss by 9 a.m. Every news channel in Georgia was talking about it. New black police chief harassed in her own backyard by her own officers, mistaken for an intruder at her own pool. Police chief breaks her silence. Racial profiling hits home. Literally, the whole town was watching. So was the entire country at City Hall. The mayor, Gloria Harston, a sharp white woman in her 60s, called an emergency press conference. All cameras were on her. Yesterday's incident was unacceptable. Mayor Harston said no citizen especially. Not the chief of police should be treated that way because of the color of her skin, officers. Cole Durham and Reed Madsen have been suspended without pay, pending a full investigation. If the footage confirms misconduct, they will be terminated. Reporters shouted questions. "Mayor, was this racial profiling?" "Absolutely," the mayor said, "and Fairhope won't tolerate it." Across town, Vernon Greaves stood outside his house. Now surrounded by moving boxes, the housing authority had issued a final eviction notice. 30 days. He had shouted the night before. "I've lived here for 10 years. You spent 10 years harassing people." The deputy told him. "Black kids riding bikes, Latino couples, walking dogs. You even called the cops on your mailman. Once I didn't know, you never know, Vernon. That's the problem. Neighbors passed by watching him load his couch into a truck. No one helped. Not one person offered a hand. Even the old lady next door who used to bake him cookies just stared. Karma had arrived, and it was packing boxes. Meanwhile, back at the Fairhope Police Department, Chief Jaleesa Renair walked through the hallway in full uniform. Every head turned as she passed. Some nodded in respect. Others lowered their eyes in shame. She entered the big meeting room and faced her entire department. She stood tall at the front. No anger in her eyes, but a fire in her voice. "Let me be clear," she began. "What happened yesterday isn't just about me. It's about every black person who's been treated like they don't belong, every woman who's been ignored, every kid who's been told they're in the wrong place even when they're home. The room was silent. This is not just about race. This is about respect. This is about justice. And as your chief, I will not allow racism, bias, or stupidity to wear this badge." She looked around. "If you're uncomfortable with that, turn in your gun and your badge today." No one moved, she continued. "From now on, every officer will go through new anti-bias training. Every complaint of racial profiling will be investigated fully, and yes, your body cams better be on at all times." People clapped, some even stood. And in that moment, the department began to change, not overnight, but for the first time. Truly, it started later that evening. Jaleesa sat by her pool again. Same chair, same glass of lemonade, but this time she wasn't alone across the fence. A little black girl from the neighborhood waved shilly at her. "Hi," the girl said. "My name's Zari. My mom told me you're the boss of the police." Jaleesa smiled. "That's right, sweetheart, I am. I want to be just like you one day." Jaleesa walked over and knelt down beside the fence. "You can be better than me, you hear me?" Zari nodded. "Don't ever let someone tell you where you don't belong," Jaleesa said softly. "You belong everywhere." They touched fingers through the gate, a small, simple moment but powerful. Because for every Vernon, for every Cole and Reed, there was a Zari. And Zari was watching the next day. A letter arrived at the precinct. It was from the governor's office, Chief Renair. "We commend your courage, your calm, and your power. You turned hate into policy. You turned pain into leadership. And for that, Georgia. Thanks you." Inside the envelope was a golden pin. It read, "For justice for all." If this story made your heart race or your eyes tear up, tap that subscribe button right now. We tell real stories that matter, stories that shake your soul and make you think.